Hello and welcome to the Irish Aesthete. Previously, I was talking about Plantation Castles found on the western side of Lower Lough Erne in County Fermanagh. Today we're going to go north of the loch and across the border into County Donegal. Here you can find a castle known as Termon McGrath, named after the McGrath family who once held all the land in this part of the country. Now, although similar in style, this isn't actually a settler castle because the McGraths were hereditary coabs, effectively guardians, of the ancient pilgrimage island known as St. Patrick's Purgatory on Lough Derg, which lies some 6 miles to the north of this particular castle. The religious connection is important because the man held to be responsible for building Termon McGrath, or certainly for improving it in the late 16th century, had begun his adult life as a Franciscan friar. This was Milan McGrath, perhaps the naughtiest man of his age, but initially thought so pious and wise that in due course Pope Pius IV himself appointed McGrath Bishop of Down and Connor. As a young clergyman he had lived in Rome, but on his way back home to take up his pastoral duties in Ireland, he passed through England and there, it seems, declared himself happy to conform to the Protestant faith and to acknowledge the crown as head of the church. So, in 1570, the English government appointed him to the Diocese of Clogher, and for the best part of the next decade, he was simultaneously a Catholic and a Protestant bishop. Eventually, in 1580, he was excommunicated by Rome and deprived of his position in Down and Connor on the grounds of heresy, and no doubt because by then news must have filtered through to Italy of his holding 2 bishoprics at the same time. Rome had probably also been made aware that by this date McGrath had married, and indeed he would father 9 children. His wife, Anya, remained a devout Roman Catholic, and on one occasion he asked her why she would only eat fish on Friday, and she replied that it would have been a sin to consume meat, to which he responded surely it was a much greater sin for her to be sleeping with a Franciscan friar. Meanwhile, in addition to allowing him to retain the bishopric of Clogher, the English government had made McGrath both Bishop of Emly and Archbishop of Cashel, and for a while he also managed to acquire the sees of Waterford and Lismore. Despite being able to draw income from a multitude of ecclesiastical sources, all the time neglecting his pastoral duties and allowing churches and religious buildings to fall into ruin, McGrath complained constantly about being poor. Yet it appears he did find sufficient funds either to build or, as I've mentioned, to improve the castle at Termon, which, like most such domestic structures of the period, consists of a semi-fortified residence, albeit with large window openings on the upper floors, and a defensive forecourt. The castle would eventually pass into the possession of one of McGrath's sons, but, as was the case with many other such properties, it was attacked and badly damaged during the Confederate Wars of the 1640s and eventually abandoned. Today it stands in the middle of agricultural land, a souvenir of a cleric's ambitions. And what happened to Milan McGrath himself? Well, somehow, despite sundry setbacks and the understandable accumulation of so many enemies, he managed to live to the great old age of 100 before dying in 1622 in Cashel, where his tomb can be seen inside the medieval cathedral. He was, without doubt, one of the greatest rogues of his own, or indeed any other, age. And in the next episode, I want to look at a castle which was built by another decidedly wicked man. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for watching The Irish Aesthete, and goodbye.